My next book is going to be on puzzle and adventure games, and that means we need to have a discussion about puzzle logic and creating all those nasty traps, contraptions, brain teasers, and more. And for this first of probably several parts, we're going to be focusing on how puzzle logic has evolved and what it means to design a puzzle is going to be interesting to play and not drive someone to madness. And in order to start this video, be sure to input the 7th word in the 8th sentence on page 61 of your manual now. If there's any way to tell where the inspiration of your adventure game comes from, it is by its use of puzzles. Is the most complicated puzzle insert the green key into the green door? Then it's probably a puzzle from the last 3 to 5 years. If it's a convoluted mess of Rube Goldberg-esque puzzles and keys and things that shouldn't fit what they do, then it's probably from the 80s into the early 90s. Puzzle design and its use in adventure games has been a major point of how the genre itself has evolved, with many developers these days treating puzzles as more of a slight inconvenience or the reward of more story, to then go to do more puzzles eventually. While a lot of classic games use challenge when creating a puzzle is that everyone has a different knowledge base when it comes to specific tasks and problems. As I've said before, I cannot do anything that involves rhythm or tone. If you have a Simon Says, input the tones and beats exactly, I can't do it. Someone else will probably get through that incredibly easy. But it's also one of the first things you have to understand is that any puzzle or any kind of challenge that's based on real-world knowledge has to be treated very carefully. You may understand the exact atomic weight of every element on the periodic table, but if there is no hint or anything in the game, a few people may be confused by it. And for the subject of our video today, we're going to be ignoring environmental-based puzzles or level design-based puzzles. So this is the classic in any action game. Oh no, I need to get over here. How many double jumps, wall jumps, spin jumps, and so on do I need to get through it? We're about good old-fashioned puzzles that require you to use that lovely thing that's sometimes stuck right in here. And when you're thinking about the puzzles of your game, you're trying to, again, create something that fits within the world itself. And many adventure game developers are quite good at this. Whether we're talking about contemporary settings, fantasy, sci-fi, use your fire wand on an ice door, use a dragon to burn down a village. Where the first problem trap comes in is when the logic of your game only makes sense to one person, and that's a designer. So, this is the first of several excruciatingly painful adventure game examples I've created for this video. If you're an adventure game fan or developer, I suggest you cover your ears because this may cause eternal bleeding. Here's our scene. You are on a street corner. There is a clown doing juggling on the left-hand side. There is an abandoned movie theater that you're trying to break into. There's a hole in the fence next to the theater, and there's an officer guarding the door. In your pocket, you have a lockpick, a firecracker, a lighter, and a Swiss Army knife. How do you get into the theater? So did you figure it out? I can assure you the whatever solution you put down in the comments is not the correct one. So here's the walkthrough. Walk 2 screens to the right to get to the bakery. Go inside, talk to the baker, and learn that they're missing a supply of fruits needed to make a variety of desserts. Walk 3 screens to the left to get to the train station to take the train to the docks. At the docks, you'll find a locked gate. Use the lockpick on the gate. If you use the firecracker, you will soft lock your game and have to restart. Inside the docks, navigate a maze of containers that takes about 5 to 10 minutes to find the one container with a padlock on it. Use the firecracker and lighter to blow that open, and you'll be treated to about 800 different fruits that completely fill the screen. In the northwest quadrant of the screen, about 5 rows down from the top, you'll find the one lemon. Grab that lemon. You will not be able to take any other fruits with you. Re-navigate the maze in reverse, take the train back to the main hub, take those screens, 2 screens back to the right, to get to the bakery. talk to the baker and hand them the lemon. Now you need to have them make a dessert. If you have them make anything other than a pie, or deliver anything other than a lemon, the game will not work, and you will then have to leave the bakery, go back to the train, take the train back to the docks, go back to the maze, grab another fruit, take the maze again, go back to the docks, go back to the train, go back to the bakery, and try it again. Once you hand them the lemon and request the pie, you'll get a lemon meringue pie. From there, go back 2 screens to the left, talk to the clown, and if you have a lemon meringue pie, he will take it. If you have any other pie or any other dessert, it will not work and the game will not tell you why. Once you hand the lemon meringue pie, he will be so excited he will throw it at the police officer. At that point, the police officer, who's obviously afraid of clowns, will become so terrified that they will run out of the screen, and then you'll be able to access the abandoned movie theater. Now you're probably wondering, what was the point of the Swiss Army knife? The point is, it has no purpose. It is a red herring. It is not used in any single puzzle in the game. And scene. By the way, before I record this video, this example was actually nicer. I made even more punishing just before I started the recording. Now, how many people do you think could actually figure out that puzzle? I probably could have mentioned that the lockpick had to be found underneath a bed in the first 5 minutes of playing or you would lose the game, but that felt a little bit too oppressive at that point. Puzzle logic requires a player to understand how the items in the game work and how the world responds around them. This is why a lot of developers will use the lock and key example or lock and key philosophy, where the player is given a lock, whether it is a literal lock or a figurative lock, and they'll find the key somewhere around. And in many cases you will find, or it's usually considered good form to find the solution before you find the problem. Okay, I found a bowling ball. And then I come to a area where there's a crack in the floor. Well, we just slam the bowling ball down. Now you need to be mindful about how items and the world respond. This actually takes us to a kind of a polarizing topic for people. The pickup of items based on triggers, or if you're just allowed to take them. In some adventure games, you can pick up whatever you want at any time, no matter what. Sure, take that roll of film, and that can of salami, and a cat, and put it in your pocket. It will be useful, maybe. In other games, you're only allowed to take something once the game basically allows you to take it. No, I can't take this chainsaw. What possible use could a chainsaw afford me? And then, 20 screens to the right, oh no, this door is locked by a very flimsy piece of rope that surely can't be cut with anything less powerful than a chainsaw. Whatever will I do? And while this does make things at least a little bit quote-unquote realistic, you have to be careful about how big your world is. In one of the games I played, those are the Bad Dreams series, they did things with old triggers, so you weren't allowed to pick something up until you got to the actual problem. The issue, of course, is if you forgot where that item was in the first place, now you have to go back to all the other areas and hope that you can remember that the oil can was hidden underneath a table in the 4th restaurant in the East District. And when you're trying to figure out how puzzles work within your game, another big aspect is that if you present logic, whether it's real world or in-game world, it has to be consistent. And another trap that developers can fall into is when you know the solution, you've done all the math, you figure out what the game wants you to do, and it's still not working. You've put X, Y, and Z together, but why isn't it working right? And this can be its own nightmare, because again, if the player doesn't know what the solution is, okay, maybe I need to figure something out, maybe something's not right. If they know the solution and it's not working, that's its own special can of pain. So here's another example for you. You need to break into the computer of a manager of a bank. When you get there, you discover that the bank manager's password is her daughter's birthday. Okay, so you need to find the name of the daughter, look it up, find her birthday, you input it in. But you see, it's a 12-digit input, so you can't just brute force it. Is it, day, month, year? Month, day, year? Is it European? Is it year, day, month? Year, month, day? Is it a 4-digit year? A 2-digit year? And you're on to go through every single combination because the game will not tell you anything else. So you do all that, you put all those numbers that's still wrong. So what's the problem? Well, you were supposed to know to then go talk to the bank manager, pretend to have an interview with her, learn that her daughter's best friend she cares for more than her own daughter, and that she feels that she's a better daughter than her own daughter. That's a clue needed to then have to go find her real daughter, pretend to have an interview with her, learn her best friend's name, go back to your computer, find the best friends of the daughter's birth year and birthday, go back to the bank, input the code, but oh wait, you need to figure out which designation is correct. Again, with the month and the days and the years and all that. And then eventually, you will get into that code. And a few of you have probably already collapsed to the floor in pain after these examples. There is always the nature of being able to brute force certain puzzles. Some games will allow you to do it very easily, some are very difficult. But again, you want to make sure that if the player is following the trail of logic, it has to make sense within the world, and that you don't want to punish the player by making you realize, oh, that whole logic? No. There's another layer of logic underneath all that. And as I said at the start, the adventure game genre has really evolved over the past 15 to 16 years, with again, some games very more puzzle focused, and some being more narrative focused. And if your game is going to be more narrative focused, you want to make sure that the player is feeling rewarded and motivated to keep playing. When I was playing Old Skies from Wadget Eye, Dave Gilbert was talking about how he removed a puzzle that was featured in the demo from the main game, because he felt that it was just too many puzzles in such a short span of time, that your reward for solving one puzzle is to then do a completely different puzzle, and then your reward is the actual story. Speaking of Dave Gilbert and Wadget Eye, I am wondering if fans have finally forgiven him for some of the more infamous puzzles in the first Blackwell game. If anyone knows, let me know down in the comments. When you're trying to create elaborate puzzles for games, again, so much of the level design, how you position the world, does matter. And when we talk more about this, I think in another video, I want to bring up Lorelei and the Laser Eyes, because it's a really fascinating kind of simplification or square down of how you approach the world of a game. Now, again, when we look at quality of life features when it comes to adventure games and puzzle design, the most simple one that has been featured in some way, shape, or form, depending upon the developer's, generosity, is a hint system or a hint guide. Some games give you the ever popular, here's the vague, not so vague, actual solution to the puzzle hint guide. Some games may have a buddy or friend or someone nearby who can give you a kind of push in the right direction. And this is kind of treated as the band-aid fix or the stopgap measure for these games. You don't want the player to use them. But if the alternative is being hopelessly stuck and quitting your game out of frustration, then it's kind of a necessity at that point. But when you're devising hints or the breadcrumbs that the player needs to follow, you need to make sure they make sense. And this is another very easy trap. It's kind of rare these days, but it can still happen. If you tell the player that, let's say, that the only way to get through ice sections is to bundle up. Okay, that sounds like a very fair hint. What does bundling up mean? Is it put on wool socks? A coat? A hat? Is it you have to figure out the exact temperature on the heater that will melt the ice, and if you go any higher, the room explodes and kills you. Who can say? So, an example of how kind of a mistranslation or even just a word or a turn of phrase can screw you. So in the game that I was playing lately, Tasha Noir, the open world survival horror, there's a puzzle revolving around you getting a code in a restaurant. In order to open the door, the hint or the log reads that you're supposed to count the number of picnic tables, the number of cash registers, and towel dispensers. I'm pretty sure it says in the original note that the person counts the towel dispensers in the bathrooms. Okay, sounds very simple, right? Just one tiny problem. Towel dispensers don't exist in the game. Quite literally, there's none in there. The point is that instead of being a towel dispenser, it is the napkin dispensers that are on the tables. And the only reason I found that out is because I brute forced that third digit because I got the other two right. And this is again why playtesting is incredibly important for any game, especially ones when you're trying to get a lot of people to solve a puzzle. And in many of the interviews I've given or I've done with adventure game developers, I always ask them, how has playtesting factored into the puzzle design, the puzzle logic of your games? Because again, if you can solve a puzzle very easily, that's great. If every single playtester has no idea what the solution is, that's kind of a problem. To wrap things up for our video, puzzle design can mean many different things for your game. Some games can be as simple as a Tower of Annoy or Towers of Annoy, Sliding Box, Sogaban, or the crazy multi-layer rabbit holes of adventure game puzzles. As a developer, you want to make sure that your puzzles are fitting within the game, and you also want to make sure that the world is doing its damnedest to at least guide the player in the right direction. And again, there's a big difference between the game just saying, take this red door, here's the red key, go and do it, versus here's a fish, solve. Although there's probably an adventure game that has had some fish-related puzzles and solutions in the past. And the convoluted nature of puzzles and how they have been one of the major glaring pain points for a lot of people is why many more modern adventure game developers have been more inspired by the likes of Telltale and being more story and narrative first, and then the puzzle is kind of more on the lesser side. But you still need to be mindful as to how the puzzles interact with the rules of your world and the characters. And there is a lot that goes into the quality of life and the UI UX of a good puzzle game, from making sure that the character can at least respond to why A doesn't work with D, or why they can't just throw a bomb at a broken wall in order to get through it. And if you're going to make your solutions very convoluted, the game needs to at least give the player some hint or some lifeline as to how to solve that. So for you watching this, what are some of your favorite examples of puzzles that defy logic? And no, you can't use Mustache Cat. That's been used over and over again. It's in the ground. But I'm sure there's even more nastier examples out there. So the next time we talk about puzzle design, we want to focus more on kind of the layout of the world and the structure of the game. That'll be coming up soon. And don't forget about the book and all the horrible more examples I can possibly come up with for the adventure game genre. Thanks for watching, and a special thank you to our Patreon supporters. If you enjoyed the video, do the YouTubing stuff, be sure to visit our Discord and Patreon, and you're interested more in my thoughts on design, check out my game design books.